My name is Kalor, Agent K07 of the Silken Web. My mission? To save Gore and Earth, to go boldly to the places Vraxis and the Priest King's nest send me.
This is not the Gore you remembers. This is the Gore that remembers you. Agents of the Silken Web.
The Blades of the Three, a Gorean tale of the Silken Web. To the Descent. The lifted from the nest with a hum that vibrated through the bones, its silver hull slicing through the mists of the Sirdar, the jagged peaks falling away like the teeth of some ancient beast. Kalor stood at the helm, his hands steady on the controls, his green eyes fixed on the horizon where the mountains gave way to the green plains of Gore. Behind him, Saracen leaned against the bulkhead, his whip coiled at his hip, his blue eyes half closed, watching. Tarl sat near the hatch, his sword across his knees, his gray eyes fixed on the world unfolding below. The ship was not large. It was built for speed, for stealth, for the kind of missions that required 3 blades and no witnesses. Its walls were silver, its light golden, its hum a constant, low thrum that made the bones ache and the teeth chatter. Tarl had flown in such ships before in the days before the Nest War when he had been young and trusting. He had not missed them. Sura knelt at Kalor's feet, her dark hair spilling across his boots, her blue eyes fixed on his face. She offered him a goblet of Kalana, the ruby liquid catching the golden light. He took it without looking, his hand brushing hers, his eyes never leaving the horizon. Lyra was beside Saracen, her red hair a blaze of fire in the dim cabin, her sapphire eyes wide with wonder at the world below. He did not look at her. His gaze was fixed on Tarl. "You do not trust the ship," Saracen said. It was not a question. Tarl's hand tightened on his sword. "I trust the ship. I do not trust what waits below." Saracen's smile was thin. "The Kurii or the Mother?" Tarl did not answer. The golden light of the cabin flickered, casting shadows across his face, and for a moment he looked older, wearier, a man who had seen too much and forgotten too little. Sura glanced at him, her blue eyes curious, but she did not speak. She was a Kajira. She knew when to be silent. The plains of Gore rolled beneath them, green and gold, the grass rippling like water in the wind. Herds of bosk moved across the landscape, their dark shapes a slow, steady tide. Tarns flew in the distance, their great wings catching the sun. Tarl watched them, remembering. He had flown Tarns once, had felt the wind in his face, the power of the great birds beneath him. The ship was faster, smoother, but it had no soul. It did not breathe. It did not tire. It did not choose. "You are thinking of Koroba," Kalor said. He had not turned from the helm, but his voice was soft, almost gentle. "I am thinking of a woman I knew there," Tarl said. "She is gone now. She chose another path." "Many women choose other paths," Saracen said. "It is their nature. They are not like slaves. They can choose." Tarl looked at him. "And the women you take, do they choose?" Saracen's smile did not waver. "They choose to survive. That is a choice. Some would call it the only choice that matters." Tarl said nothing. He had heard such arguments before, from men who believed that survival was the highest law, that freedom was a luxury for those who could afford it. He did not agree, but he had learned in the years since Koroba that not all men saw the world the same way. The hills of Koroba rose before them, green and gentle, their slopes cloaked in forests of kala trees, their leaves whispering in the wind. The city itself was visible now, its towers gleaming in the afternoon light, its walls white and proud. Tarl had not seen it in years. He had not wanted to see it, but it was still there, still standing, still calling to him. Kaler set the ship down in a glade at the city's edge, its silver hull settling into the grass with a whisper of dying engines. The air was cool, fresh, scented with kala blossoms and wood smoke, the smell of home, though Tarl had not thought of it as home for years. Sura and Lyra remained aboard as they had been instructed. This was not their fight, not yet. Sura looked after Kaler as he left, her dark eyes following him until the trees swallowed him. Lyra touched Sarakin's arm once quickly before he stepped into the forest. He did not look back. Kaler was the first to step onto the grass, his cord coiled in his hand, his green eyes scanning the forest for signs of passage. Sarakin followed, his whip hissing faintly as it dragged through the grass. Tarl came last, his blade drawn, his senses sharp for danger. "The caves are to the north," Kaler said. "A mile, maybe less." The sensory orb showed them clearly. Tarl nodded. He knew these hills. He had hunted here as a boy, had flown his tarn over these forests, had loved a woman who lived in these towers. He knew where the caves were. He knew the paths that led to them. "Follow me," he said. "I know this ground." Kaler raised an eyebrow. "You know Koroba?" "I was of Koroba. I wore its home stone. I fought for its towers, its walls, its people." He did not add that he had left it, that he had been cast out by the woman he loved, that he had wandered the world for years trying to forget. They did not need to know that. "Then lead," Sarakin said. "We will follow." They moved through the forest in silence, 3 blades cutting a path through the green. The trees were old here, their trunks thick, their branches heavy with leaves. The ground was soft, damp, covered in moss and fallen leaves. Tarl led the way, his steps sure, his eyes scanning the shadows. Kaler followed a pace behind, his cord ready. Sarakin brought up the rear, his whip loose in his hand, his gaze never still. The forest was quiet, too quiet. No birds sang, no insects buzzed. The only sound was the soft crunch of leaves beneath their boots and the whisper of wind through the branches. Tarl felt the hairs on his neck rise. He had felt this before in the north when the Kurii were near. "They know we are coming," he said. Kaler's hand tightened on his cord. The sensory orb showed them waiting. "They have been expecting us." "Then why have they not attacked?" Sarakin's voice was low, cold. "Why let us walk so far into their forest?" Tarl stopped. He knelt, his hand on the ground. The moss was damp, but beneath it he felt something else. Vibration. A hum that was not the wind, not the earth. It was the beacon. He could feel it now, pulsing in the ground beneath his feet. "Because they want us to find them," he said. "They want us to see what they have built." Kaler and Sarakin exchanged a glance. They had seen such arrogance before in Tor in the prison moon. The Kurii believed themselves invincible. They believed their steel could not be broken, their plans could not be stopped. They were wrong, but they had to be shown. The cave was where Tarl remembered it. Its mouth was a jagged maw carved into the hillside, its shadows dark and deep, its air thick with the metallic tang of steel and oil. Tarl stopped at the entrance, his hand raised. "This is it," he said. The sensory orb showed the beacon inside. 5 Kurii, maybe more. Kaler stepped forward, his cord shimmering in the dim light. "Then we go in." Tarl caught his arm. "Wait, the Kurii are not fools. They will have sentries, alarms, traps. We go in fast, we go in quiet, and we do not stop until the beacon is destroyed." Sarakin's smile was thin. The Earthman knows how to fight. The Earthman has fought Kurii before. He knows what they are capable of. Kaler nodded. Then we go in together. 1 blade, 2 blades, 3 blades, we cut as one. They moved into the darkness. The tunnel sloped downward, its walls slick with damp moss, its floor strewn with pebbles that crunched beneath their boots. The air grew warmer, thicker, heavy with the smell of oil and something else, something that made Tarl's skin prickle. He had smelled it before on the prison moon in the chambers where the Kurii kept their machines. It was the smell of steel that was not quite steel, of power that was not quite power. Kaler paused at a bend, lifting the sensory orb from his pouch. Its surface pulsed with light and visions flared within. A chamber ahead, its walls glinting with veins of metal, its air thick with shadow. 5 Kurii, their steel-enhanced forms cloaked in human guise, their red eyes flickering beneath false flesh. They tended a device that pulsed with alien light, its wires threading into the darkness. 5, Kaler breathed. They know we are coming. They are waiting. Let them wait, Sarakin said. His whip was already in his hand, its thong coiled like a serpent ready to strike. I have waited longer for lesser prey. Tarl tightened his grip on his sword. Then let us not keep them waiting. They moved forward, shadows among shadows, the chamber opening before them like a wound in the earth. The cavern was vast, larger than the sensory orb had shown. Its walls were veined with steel, gleaming in the dim light of the beacon that pulsed at its center. The beacon was a spire of alien metal, black and silver, its surface crawling with lights that moved like living things. It hummed with a power that made the air vibrate, that made Tarl's teeth ache and his skull pound. The Kurii stood around it, 5 of them, their forms grotesque parodies of humanity, too broad, too heavy, too wrong. Their skin was gray, stretched tight over steel sinews that hummed with the same power as the beacon. Their eyes were red, glowing like embers in the dark. Their claws glinted like blades forged in alien fires. One of them turned, its red eyes fixed on Tarl and its mouth opened in a grin that was not human. The Earthman returns, it said. Its voice was a mechanical rasp like metal scraping metal. The mother's pet, the cur's friend. Tarl's blood ran cold. You know me. We know all who serve the priest kings. We know all who betray their kind. You are a curiosity, Earthman, a man who fights for those who imprisoned him, a man who befriends those who would eat him. The Kurii laughed, a grinding sound. You are nothing. Kaler's cord hissed through the air. He is not nothing. He is one of the blades that will cut your thread. The Kurii's eyes flickered to Kaler, to Sarakin. 3 men, 3 blades, against the might of the steel worlds. You are fools. Sarakin's whip cracked. We are the ones who will send you back to your steel. The Kurii lunged.